coming today. My name is Carl Fisher. I'm the Communications Coordinator for Contra Costa Health, and I'm here today with Deputy Health Director Matt Kaufman, as well as Dr. Ori Tzveli, the Health Officer for Contra Costa County. We're going to give you a short briefing about the activity today over at the refinery, and then open it up for questions. Wanted to let you know that you can ask questions today by entering them into the Q&A field. You'll see there's a Q&A button on your Zoom console. You can also raise your hand if you'd like to ask questions directly to our panelists today. We are recording this media availability. We'll post it later on today at Contra Costa Health's YouTube channel. With that, I will pass it over to Matt Kaufman.
Thank you, Carl. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Matt Kaufman. I'm one of the deputy directors here with the Contra Costa County Health Department. Today, we are announcing that our hazardous materials programs is conducting an unannounced inspection at the PBF refinery that's located in Martinez. We're joined in that inspection by the Bay Area Air Quality Management District. We have approximately 4 staff members from Contra Costa Health and a few others from the Air District that are in attendance at this inspection. The purpose of the visit is really to better understand and observe the refinery operations, and we're focusing particularly on the health and safety of both our community and the refinery workers. We're checking on reliability of equipment and operations with special focus on maintenance records, staff training, and knowledge and understanding of policies and procedures throughout the refinery. We want to make sure that the refinery staff have been adequately trained and that the staff have been empowered to raise concerns about safety at the refinery. We will also be doing a field verification based on the records we review, ensuring that the records match what's actually happening with respect to refinery operations and maintenance that's being performed at the facility. Contra Costa Health is becoming increasingly concerned about the frequency of safety incidents at PBF over the past year. We know many of these incidents have been seen, heard, or smelled by our community. The most recent series of incidents occurred a few weekends ago. On December 15th, there was a plant upset that resulted in flaring, and a level 2 incident was activated for this release. A health advisory was issued for odors related to sulfur compounds in the surrounding community. And while the health department did not measure levels that would be considered a health concern, the incident certainly impacted our community, and particularly those most vulnerable due to age or pre-existing health conditions. Just 2 days later, on December 17th, the facility alerted Contra Costa Health of a grass fire that was occurring at the facility. We later learned that this grass fire was ignited by a flaring incident that resulted in spilled liquid hydrocarbons in the area surrounding this facility's flare, which caught the nearby grass on fire. These incidents were actually discussed by PBF at the City of Martinez council meeting on Wednesday, December 20th. On multiple occasions, the health department felt it was necessary to either correct misinformation or provide accuracy to statements that were made by refinery managers. With a recent string of incidents, Contra Costa Health is focused on understanding the root causes of these incidents. That way, we are better able to address these potential issues that are contributing to increased incidents and decreased reliability at PBF that we have seen in the past year. I want everyone to know that this is not a regular inspection. This is not a scheduled inspection. The county's industrial safety ordinance gives us the responsibility to perform additional regulatory work in cases where we think problems may be serious or they're persistent over time. We can say that the frequency of incidents at PBF is not normal. PBF has experienced multiple serious incidents that affected the surrounding community. Most recently, the level 2 incident that occurred just a few weeks ago. There was also a level 2 incident that occurred last Thanksgiving in November of 2022. We also have several level 1 incidents, which is our lowest level of incident, that have become more and more frequent over time. This year alone, since November of 2022, we have 46 reported flaring incidents through our community warning system that PBF has advised the county of. Flares are safety devices that are activated during emergencies to prevent more significant releases. On one hand, we're glad that the flares are working and flaring is being reported to the county. However, on the other hand, we have significant concerns regarding the frequency of these incidents. Some of these flaring incidents have lasted hours to even days. In addition, our experience in working with PBF on these incidents has also been concerning to us. We have concerns regarding communication with the health department and other first responder, as well as other regulatory agencies during these incidents. This will also be a topic of review for us during our unannounced inspection this week. Multiple times this year, we have received reports from PBF that did not match what was happening on ground at the facility. As I mentioned earlier, just a few weekends ago, PBF did not report that a grass fire was actually caused by flaring. In July, we did not have timely notification regarding a petroleum coke dust release that was affecting our community. And back Thanksgiving of last year, in November of 2022, there was no notification of a spent catalyst release that affected the surrounding area and resulted in the release of 20 to 24 tons of a white powdery substance that contained metals. Our Contra Costa County Board of Supervisors, both Chair John Joya and Vice Chair Federal Glover, are scheduled to sit down with corporate executive leadership this week at the refinery to talk about these incidents. At the health department, we will keep the community updated with our progress with respect to this unannounced inspection, and we expect to have our results posted at cchealth.org sometime in January. And with that, I'm available to take questions.
Thanks, Matt. Just a reminder, you can drop your questions into the Q&A by hitting the Q&A button on your Zoom console or raise your hands and we will call on you directly. I'll lead with a question that's been in the Q&A, which is, I've heard a couple of times already, how extreme a step is an unannounced inspection? And has Contra Costa Health had to do this previously, either with this refinery or with others in the community?
We have conducted unannounced inspections in the past, but I will say the health department is extremely concerned, which is why we've embarked on this most recent unannounced inspection at the refinery.
Great. And let's go to Ellen. Britt, can you take Ellen off mute?
Yes. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I can.
Okay, this is Christian Captain calling from KTVU. Wanted to see if we could get an idea on a timeline for these inspections, when they'll be. I believe you said that they're going to be conducted. Wanted to get an idea of how that's going to take place, when that's going to take place, and whether that information or we'll be able to go along with any of these inspections and see how they're conducted.
Thank you for the question. Yes, the inspection began this afternoon. Again, Contra Costa Health and the Air Quality District folks are conducting that inspection. And depending upon the findings, that inspection could last a few days, possibly even weeks. It really depends on what we find during that inspection.
And if I can have one follow-up, what level of cooperation are you receiving at this point?
The refinery has allowed us on site to conduct that inspection.
Great. Wanted to call on Raquel.
Hello there, Raquel Maria Dillon from KCBS. When was the last time you conducted an unannounced inspection like this? Or if you don't know, if you do know, how many in the past 10 or 20 years? I also have a second question. I'll ask it after this one, maybe.
Sure. The last inspection that we conducted was a safety inspection of this facility back in February, and that lasted a few months actually into April of 2023, so this year. But that safety inspection focused primarily on the fluid catalytic cracking unit, which was the unit that was involved in the Thanksgiving release last year. This inspection will take sort of a broader look at the refinery operations as a whole, and not these focused on a specific unit.
I'm also curious how many at all facilities in Contra Costa County in a past time span, to sort of put the this action in perspective.
Thanks for the question, Raquel. I'll have to get back to you on the information. I think we're going to have to, pull some records together to get you an answer that's complete and accurate.
Thank you. I have one more, but I can wait.
Okay.
Go ahead, Raquel.
What prompted the focus on staff training? What made you think they weren't empowered, maybe, or that the procedures weren't there to support safety?
Thanks for the question. We're particularly focused on just the reliability of the refinery in general. And as PBF employs, I think 700 or so employees work at this facility. And so the staff is really integral to the safety of the operation at the refinery. And so we just want to make sure that staff are well trained, understand the policies and procedures, and have a commitment to safety, not only from the staff level, but also from management level within the refinery.
Thank you.
Great. We've got one from the Q&A section. Do you know when the last time CCH conducted an unannounced inspection like this was, as opposed to, say, a routine or scheduled one at this facility?
Again, Carl, I think I'm going to have to go back and ask our staff to pull together the records on that. I don't have that readily available right now.
Sorry about that. We'll get back to you. Okay, let's see. I've got an Ellen Ellery with the hand up again. Do you want to, is that you, Christian?
Hi, this is Tori Gaines with KTVU Fox 2 News. Christian and I are both on the call. We're very interested in this story today. I was wondering, what are the potential consequences if the findings of this unannounced visit are negative or they aren't up to CCH's expectations? What kind of, consequences could the refinery see in the coming months?
I think it's safe to say that both the Air District and us, we're conducting this inspection to ensure that our community is safe and that the operation of this refinery does not impact our community. I think it's a little premature to sort of speculate on what the findings may not be and what the consequences may or may not be from those findings. So I'm going to sort of put a placeholder there and say, depending upon the findings, I think that'll be sort of the next step. But I think we need to first do a thorough evaluation, understand the current operation status of the refinery, and then move forward with some of those questions.
Quick follow-up, just I guess my question to get some more clarification, what are the things that that CCH or BAMQ has been able to do in the past in order to kind of get a refinery up to their standards, or what kind of steps have they taken in the past towards this besides inspections?
Yeah, I mean, in general, the health department takes a very collaborative approach to gaining compliance from facilities. That includes reviewing safety programs, making sure that the refinery staff is implementing those safety programs, and where we find issues, either making recommendations for improvement or in some cases issuing violations. In terms of enforcement, there's always a referral that we can make to the district attorney's office, and the district attorney can either choose to conduct formal filings against the facility based on our referral, or refer that back to the health department for administrative enforcement. But again, I think it's very early to sort of speculate and draw conclusions at this point. What we're really announcing today is that we have some concerns about the refinery operations and our communication with the refinery, and so we really want to start a dialogue today and really gain an in-depth understanding of not only refinery operations, but also employee training, and making sure that the refinery is operated in a reliable way that does not impact our community.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I've got one from Q&A. regarding your comments earlier about the need to correct the record at the Martinez City Council meeting last week, just hoping you can provide a bit more detail about what needed to be corrected.
There was a statement that was made that there was odors in the neighborhood surrounding the refinery, and that there was no measurement of any levels of chemicals in the found. And that actually was not true. The health department did conduct air monitoring. We responded to a number of incidents over the past year, but in particular at this incident, we conducted air monitoring and did find levels. Those levels were very low and not considered a health concern, but the community could smell sulfur compounds surrounding the community.
Thanks. Hey, Julie, did you want to come off mute?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great, thank you. I wanted to ask something I've wondered this year is there does seem to have been a lot of community alerts about issues at the refinery, and I wasn't sure how much was because of more aggressive community communication or an uptick in incidents at MRC. Was hoping you could elaborate.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Julie. The health department did revise our notification policy, which states when facilities need to notify the county of incidents. And that revision took place in March of 2022. So it's been almost 2 years now that we've had that new policy. And essentially that policy says for flaring in particular, all flaring needs to be reported to the county health department. So we do have two years or so of data underneath this new notification scheme that does require the refineries to alert us on all flaring incidents. And that wasn't necessarily that way underneath the previous policy.
Great. We've got one here in the Q&A. Was it specifically this last flaring incident that prompted our action, or was this already being planned as the unannounced inspection?
I think the health department has seen over the past year, as we started to look at the data of incidents, that PBF is an outlier. And we do have concerns about the frequency of incident and the severity of incidents that have been occurring at this refinery. Obviously, a few weekends ago, we did have 2 incidents that occurred, one of which was a health advisory incident, a level 2 incident, and those did impact our community. And so I think we just have concerns about the reliability of operations at the refinery. And so we're going there today to take a deep dive and start to look at their processes, their policies and procedures to make sure that our community is not impacted the way it has been over the past year moving forward.
Got it. Raquel, do you have your hand up, or you want to come back?
Yes, please. Could you describe a little bit what it's like when you show up unannounced? Do you knock on the door and say, air quality inspectors, or are people surprised and do they scramble around? What's it like?
Yeah, the refinery has a main gate that we make contact with the refinery personnel there. And we were escorted into the facility today and we've begun our inspection.
What time was it?
It was right around 1:15 today, 1:15 p.m.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So there's folks still there?
Correct.
And they'll be there for the next couple of days, maybe?
Days to weeks. Correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right. From the Q&A, got a reporter who notes that that refinery is advertising that's a very long tenured refinery, that it's been running. It was built in 1915. Wondering if the age of the refinery has anything to do with the recent operational failures.
I think that's going to be a topic of our discussion or of our inspection over the next days or weeks. We really want to look at maintenance records, and we want to make sure that the refinery is being maintained in a way that's reliable and does not impact our community.
Great. And Julie, did you want to come back?
Yes, thank you. I wanted to follow up, Matt. So after March 22, that's when a new communication protocol came to play. And I'm wondering, does that mean that prior to that, refineries weren't necessarily reporting all flaring, and so they weren't really documented? Or is that just affecting like how the public is notified?
That notification procedure that changed back in March of 2022 affected when the county health department was notified of flaring incidents. So since then, since March of 2022, facilities need to report all flaring to Contra Costa health officials.
Hey, Matt, it's Kim. I apologize, but I'm going to jump in for just one quick second. It's really when we compare the number of flaring incidents between refineries that we notice the difference, how much of an outlier the PBF refinery is. So when you look at how many flaring incidents have happened at the other 4 refineries, that's where we can really see the difference. And so you're right, Julie, that the process changed a little bit in March of 2022, but it's the comparison between refineries that is really saying to us, pay attention here.
Great. Got one more in the Q&A section that's hoping you could provide a little bit more of detail about how that grass fire the other weekend happened.
Sure, there was a process upset that happened last weekend that resulted in hydrocarbons being sent to the flare to burn off. In going to the facility, walking that facility, our staff found that there was actually a liquid hydrocarbon spill that had occurred surrounding the flare, which most likely ignited the grass that was caught on fire. However, the facility initially told us that it was a grass fire that was occurring, as opposed to letting us know that there was flaring that had occurred and that had resulted in the grass fire.
Great, thank you. Julie, do you have another question, or did you just leave your hand up?
You know, it was accidentally up, but I do have a question actually. So I'm just, and forgive my ignorance here, but I think of flaring as happening really high up in above the facility. So can you, for us who like really just don't understand, could you explain how that hydrocarbon would spill out of the stack and end up on the ground and start a fire? How does that work?
Sure, Julie. Most facilities have a number of flares, and some of them can be, higher up in the air. But there is a flare at MRC at PBF that is lower to the ground. So it depends on the height of the flare, but there are some that are closer to the ground.
All right. Last call. I don't see any more questions on the board. Anyone else? So Raquel?
Sorry, what's this liquid hydrocarbon? Can you explain what that is and like how bad is it to spill it from a flare that's lower to the ground?
Well, hydrocarbons in general are considered either flammable or combustible, but they will light if they're, they will light on fire. It appears that there was a spill of what we would call liquid hydrocarbon that was in the refinery at the time that was sent to the flare. Typically, flares will burn gases only, but it appears that liquid got to the flare, spilled out of the flare, and ignited the brush that was in the area in the vicinity of the flare on fire.
Thank you for translating for those of us who don't speak petrochemical.
No problem.
We do have one here. Just a question about how long the current inspection is going to take. Weeks, months?
We anticipate that this inspection will definitely take days. Again, depending upon our findings, the inspection could go longer, But I think at this point, it's safe to say that we will be there for a few days at it.
Great, thank you. Okay, I think that is our half hour, and I think I don't see any more questions on the board. So thank you all for joining us today. Please, if you have any additional questions or need some help, public info at cchealth.org is the way to reach us. We do appreciate your help in getting the word out. Also wanted to mention that this recording of this media conference will be available at the CC Health YouTube channel later on today. Thanks.